Hi, this is Natural Health Radio and Dr. Teresa Dale with you from downtown Ventura, California. And we have a stunning show for you today. You are going to be learning so much about your body and about how to keep the body healthy. And in a few minutes, we're going to be introducing Lydia Iwanaska, who is from the Chicago area and is going to be talking about her clients and how she helps them. And I think perhaps put a different slant on and the different ideas about healthcare. So we look forward to speaking with her soon. Meantime, I wanted to get with you on something that's so very important and start the show by talking with you about bisphenol A. A lot of you who are listening are so encouraging and so desirous of having a healthy body and wanting to know what to eat, what not to eat, what to drink, and all of the particulars in between that can make a difference oftentimes between life and death. So that's what I try to bring you, is information that you really can't live without. And one of those things is to understand some new research, okay? The new research on bisphenol A is that bisphenol A is the plastic that is in plastic water bottles, but it's really an estrogen. It's not plastic per se. It's injected into the plastic. It's an estrogen that is so toxic that they can't give it to people. So to sell it, they put it in water bottles to make the water bottles, the plastic, soft. Okay, and there are many phenols in a plastic water bottle, but bisphenol A is the worst one. And that is, the latest research is that it's positively associated with generalized obesity, abdominal obesity, and insulin resistance in middle-aged and elderly Chinese adults. It's a new study from China. And so this is very interesting that other countries are doing amazing research, and they have definitely associated bisphenol A with generalized obesity, abdominal obesity, and insulin resistance in middle-aged and elderly Chinese adults. So this research is available on the internet. If you just Google bisphenol A, BPA, and obesity, or BPA and insulin resistance, then you can find this information for yourself and take a look at the entire study. I was very impressed by the study because they tested urinary bisphenol A, like what is excreted from the body, and the concentration and how much stays in the body and how much is excreted from the body, and the insulin resistance and the relationship between all of this. So it's interesting that when we try to drink out of bisphenol A free bottles, glass bottles, and drinking out of plastic. Even in California, they found little pieces of plastic in the bottles. In other words, the plastic bottles not only have bisphenol A in it, but there's little tiny pieces of plastic in it. And this is some research they did in California and found that. So these bottles of water, I don't know the brand. They didn't say the brand, probably for fear of getting sued, but they're delivered all over the United States. So there is more than one reason to stop drinking out of plastic bottles. Number one is there's little pieces of plastic in some brands that you are so tiny you don't even taste them when you're drinking it. And then the bisphenol A, which is now generally associated with obesity, abdominal obesity, and insulin resistance. So this study that they did in China, they used middle-aged Chinese people, and this is what they found. And that they also give you the possibility of it affecting, of course, hormone levels, because it is causing a cause of insulin resistance. So the bisphenol A, which is estrogen, think about it. Okay, so every time you have a bottle of water that is from a bottle that has bisphenol A in the plastic, you're being exposed to estrogen. Just what we all want. I mean, some of us want it in small amounts, but ideally we want our body to produce it ourselves, right? Okay, I mean, that's the goal, isn't it? So that's why at the Wellness Center for Research and Education, through the Dr. Dale's Wellness Store, you can get my homeopathic hormone rejuvenation to help deal with your hormone levels naturally, homeopathically, no toxicity. And if you are insulin resistant, then I would suggest becoming a member and checking out our protocols for insulin resistance there. And that would really help you out, besides all of the education that you would get there. And as well as, oh my goodness, there's so many things. One of the most amazing things is that, you know how vaccines, and right now that schools want you to vaccinate the children, and a lot of parents don't want to do that. And they make the parents feel like they're criminals for not doing it, and they're bad parents for not doing it. Well, you know, the absolute solution is to get a vaccine opt-out form. And I have collected them from every state. They're in the members area. So there's vaccine opt-out forms for every state in our members area. I want to take the time right now to introduce Lydia Iwanoska from Chicago, and we're going to talk with her a little bit about healthcare and the kind of patients that she sees, and what she's learned even from her patients. So Lydia, welcome.
Oh, welcome. Thank you, Dr. Dale. Hello to everyone who is willing to listen to the message of health. Hello.
So tell me a little bit about what you do and how you do it with your patients. And have you ever worked with obesity, for example?
You know, Dr. Dale, yes. You know, obesity, as any other diseases, we know that it's just accumulating, you know, all over the world, and it's getting worse and worse. But if I may, I will start just shortly and briefly introducing myself, telling you, those who, of course, do not know me, that I started my journey toward health about 17 years ago. And till that time, I was basically accumulating all toxicity that was all around. And we know that toxicity is found basically everywhere if we do not know how to, bounce it off, how to get away from it. So my body was filled with it. And because it was filled in food that I was eating, I had metal implants, I had mercury in my mouth, about, as I remember, 9, 10 fillings of mercury, which is toxicity of the highest form. So having that and accumulating that throughout my, life, it did not go, unseen, because then I started having the dilemmas of my life, the dramas of my, health in forms of the diseases that presented itself. And the first one was multiple sclerosis. So the story may go on, but I just want to tell you that there is no disease that cannot be conquered and cured if we start approaching it from a different set of mind. So my set of mind started changing it, because even working in the medical field as a physical therapy assistant, I've seen that people not getting better at all. So having noticed that for years, and then facing my own symptoms and my own disease prognosis that, I got from the doctors, and they said within 2 months you're not going to walk, and so on, proposing me all the steroids and whatever was available to basically damage my joints. I decided not to go that, in that direction, and I just put myself into, I would call, arms of God, and discovery what is new, what is better than, again, toxinating my body. So I was able to cure myself within not even 2 months completely. So that was the beginning of the journey. And then I'm not saying that was the only disease that I had. Of course, that was just the beginning. So you can imagine that, I still were not at the perfection or even close to it, understanding how the disease is progressing, how we can basically stop, the progression of any different diseases. So I was learning, and it took me quite a while, and basically brought me also to, the to Dr. Teresa Dale's College in California, where I gained so much of knowledge. So having in my hands and in my mind and in my, heart, all that beauty, that knowing that, yes, those things work, alternative medicine works. I started helping my patients, and my patients come to me, with variety of diseases, weight, like overweight, obesity is just one of them. And since we are not having the whole day, because we're having so many patients who want to be healthy, right? So many of them. I was just very briefly, shortly, because they are, I'm seeing every week quite a few patients, but maybe quickly give you just a slight feeling of what we are dealing with and how basically easy it is to go into the venue of health if a family or individual decides so.
And I think it's very important, Lydia, that you help people to create a positive mind when you're doing this, to work with how they perceive health and how they perceive what they're going to be doing with you.
Dr. Dale, as we know, emotions is the top of any disease. Mm-hmm. There is no disease that is not being created if there is no emotional input, that is basically burning, the body from within.
Right, and so we can be hurting ourselves and creating disease within just from our emotions that are negative or harmful.
It is crucial to know that, because it seems that it's just, for majority of people that I meet as my patients, that subject seems like not being touched by any of the professionals, medical professionals, that they are seeing them. And we, knowing how important that, that problem is, it's good to start from noticing and allowing the patient to see, themselves as well, that it's an emotion that is basically at the root of the creation of the certain disease. So going on and on about, the emotions, again, it would take us forever. But let me just briefly, because, that subject never ends, Dr. Dale.
It's the truth.
Of health, yes.
Yeah, it's so many people they think, and I'm sure you've had people tell you too, Lydia, well, I've been to a therapist for 10 years and I don't have any emotions, So they actually sometimes have said that I don't have any emotions, and basically you wouldn't be having a health problem if you didn't have emotions that were sabotaging your health. It's like everybody has them. The thing is to stay in charge of them. So you probably have the same thing, right?
Yes, because some people, they have said, no, emotions are fine. But, another thing is, if emotion is fine, your body would just work fine, as you are saying, as emotions are working, right? Fine. But it's not the case, and we know that the only person who will not have an emotion is a robot, and robot is not a person. So emotion is always there. The only difference is to know how the emotion feels. When the emotion doesn't feel right in a certain way, it will definitely cause some kind of inflammatory response that will spread throughout our body. And there is no question about it, because it's just a science. This is what, emotion does to us, to each and every organ, depending on the emotion being generated within. So, yes, I introduce my patient to that subject as well. And I'm not saying that everyone is very open know how gently and slowly and, and still helping them to discover that, yes, the body suffers because emotionally we suffer as well. So going on with the thought, as I started, because I gave a little promise that I will give you a short, brief of certain letters that I've received, and maybe just 2-3 sentences from 2-3 letters. There is a family that wrote to me in their, they felt, of course, the thankfulness in their heart for what happened, and they said, my whole family and I received helpful suggestions from Mrs. Lydia, which we follow to the point of full recovery from our alignments. And we talk about the whole family. So I would love to talk individually about my patients because there's so many, Dr. Dale. So that's why I had taken this one as an example of, the whole family may be healthy. There is, father and mother, of course, and children. And why should we overlook someone if needs help, right?
Right,
So,
and don't you think that when a person is ill, it's very helpful to work on the whole family, because when a person is ill, they could have emotions that other family members also share, or have something similar, or have resistance to it, right?
Very much so. And I believe when individual persons start their journey towards health, of course, the whole family is supposed to be aware of that, because, they live together and they're supposed to help each other, of course, and, just be as a, bounded, loving family is. If there is a different story, it is much, much, harder. Let me put it this way, not that easy for the individual to heal, because, again, we deal with the emotions, right, at home. And if someone is not compliant with what the other person is doing, there is that gap, right, that cannot be filled, So maybe just briefly finishing up, as I started the very first letter, because it was one of my very first family I deal with, on the road to recovery. So my post-bypass surgery husband's burning leg ulcers and agonizing pains were brought to an end. My 18-year-old son's eczema was not clearing up until Lydia offered a unique approach to healing his skin. His clavicle fracture was not healing properly until we followed Lydia's suggestions, and inflammation disappeared, and so on and so on. And she says, and for myself, weight problems, as Dr. Dale suggested at the beginning to talk about it, weight problems, and I see this in my patients, in such a short time, because we have to go on the right diet. We have to cleanse the body, not only from the, inner toxins, but emotional toxins as well. And I'm seeing people losing in a healthy way, because I'm always talking about healthy way of approach. Losing 50, 60 pounds within a matter of few weeks, and they feel great right from the start, because that's just the start, 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks, right? Okay, so going back to the letter, as for myself, my patient says, weight problems because of previously fractured wrist and allergies are all a part of the past. We owe a debt of gratitude to Lydia, and so on and so on. So that's beautiful.
Well, thank you so very much for presenting that about the family that you worked with. It's great, and I think that it's something to think about. You presented something very interesting, that when you go to a health provider, bring your family and have everybody's head examined. It's like have health for every single person that comes in, because the family is a unit as a whole, right? And so this is very, very excellent. We only have a couple of minutes left. So what would you like to end up with?
Okay, Dr. Dale, I would like to end up with telling the whole world, whoever listens to us, that willingness to change is everything that we should, put in our hearts and minds. Willingness to change, because without the change, nothing ever can happen, right?
Right. So
Nothing
how do people reach you, Lydia?
Okay, they usually, a lot of times I'm having the radio talk shows here in Chicago, but if not in that way, you can also reach me calling my private number. That is, may I give Dr. Dale my number?
Please.
Okay, it's 224-523-5196.
Wonderful.
So that is my, yes.
So thank you so much for coming on today. And that's Lydia Iwanoska. If you live in the Chicago area, give her a call, and she'll be on various radio shows as a guest, and you might hear her there as well. And I think maybe bringing your whole family to her might be a good idea. So check it out. And we're going to take a little break now. Thank you again, Lydia. This is Natural Health Radio. We're doing this today on Facebook Live. So I want to thank you so much. Remember, you can hear us on iHeartRadio, and you can also hear us on 7 or 8 different radio stations in Hollywood, in Beverly Hills. And and also if you want to go to our website, we will have copies of this at wellnesscenter.net. Under media, and then we will also have them stored on YouTube so that you can listen to them at any time. Thank you so very much, Lydia. Have a great day. Thank you. And to everyone else, we're going to start by discussing some new information about your health, and not only as Lydia was saying, it's not only about your physical health and toxins and detoxifying them and detoxifying your family, but it's about understanding what the toxins are, okay? And that's what I am doing, is bringing you that information so that once you're educated, then the solution is easy. But first, the education and then the solution. So we've been talking about Roundup, haven't we? We've been talking about Roundup, which is the pesticide that contains the glyphosate, which has affecting every country, every state, every area, every city, because it's in all food except organic food. So if the food is not organic, you're going to get glyphosate in your body. Because of the pesticide that's used, which is Roundup. So we have to remember, I have new information, and I'm going to put my glasses on to give it to you. Okay, so the latest on Roundup glyphosate is that there's an MIT study that also focuses on the way glyphosate pesticides affect the brain. So it makes the brain less resilient and more prone to disease. So we have to look at how Roundup affects the brain. It depletes sulfates, and that it depletes the stores in the neural tissues of sulfates. And according to researchers, this can leave these tissues especially vulnerable to jostling through sudden impact, like if you hurt your head, okay? And then it creates gut imbalance. If you're the side effect of glyphosate exposure and GMO foods. So glyphosate is in GMO foods, and the side effect is gut imbalances. Toxic byproducts such as formaldehyde can form and eventually breach the blood-brain barrier. So glyphosate Roundup weakens your immune system, weakens your gut, and keeps it from protecting you. And then we have that glyphosate disturbs the absorption of nutrients. I mean, my God, you're trying to eat good food, right? You're eating organic food, right? But if you have foods also that you're eating non-organic foods and you have exposure to glyphosate, then it disturbs your absorption of nutrients so that you're not getting the nutrient value in the food. This is why you really want to do your best to try only to eat organic food. You cannot wash Roundup off. You cannot wash glyphosate off. It's in the food. It's in GMOs. So the next thing is that it weakens your liver. So we have to understand that there are a lot of things that can weaken your liver. The worst thing you could do is to have Roundup, glyphosate, weakening your liver, because it affects the enzymes that are necessary for proper detoxification. So your liver has a way of naturally detoxifying pesticides and all kinds of toxins. But when that natural way is affected, then the toxins just build and store until your enzymes become very, very high. And then you get some kind of a liver disease. And these enzymes are needed for vitamin D3 activation. So they're needed, but we want to make sure that we have proper detoxification of the liver. And then you get an aluminum overload. Glyphosate has been shown to increase the uptake of aluminum by possibly helping it to cross the blood-brain barrier. That means it creates neurological issues, right? Any amount of aluminum in the brain will make it more difficult for concussions to heal and could lead to neurological damage. And so I'm sure that this is very good information for you, and I suggest you share this Facebook Live, you share the show on Facebook, and that you tell your friends, because you're only helping them by doing that. And that's what I want to do, is I want to help everyone. So the next thing I think that's very important is some of the foods that can help you detoxify and help your body heal. And one of those, there are 5 food medicines that could possibly save your life. Do you want to know what they are? Well, I'd love to tell you what they are. Daryl wants to know. He's sitting over there. Yeah. Okay. They are apples, organic apples. Now, all of this is organic, needless to say, okay? Garlic, okay? Turmeric, phenomenal for your heart, phenomenal for everything in your body. Turmeric is very important. And use it on your food. You can get the capsules, get curcumin. And then for people who do not have a blood sugar issue, honey is good. You get raw organic honey, and you can use a little bit of that during the day. It has some very good nutritional properties as well. So those are 5 important foods. And we also want to discuss with you a little bit about sunlight. A lot of people who don't get exposure to sunlight, they're in their offices day after day after day, and they don't really go out except they leave at night, they go for a drink at the bar, and then they go home, okay? So, sunlight possesses both energy and information with real metabolic value, all right? And it's a source of usable energy for the body. And for people who don't get enough of sunlight, it's related to 15 different types of cancer. If you don't get enough sunlight, you can actually develop severe immune-related issues. And some additional benefits of sunlight exposure. So to expose yourself to sunlight, 15 minutes a day, it helps Alzheimer's disease, depression, neurological disease. It helps dopamine, the dopamine deficiency, dermatitis, influenza. It keeps your immune system strong. It helps multiple sclerosis and psoriasis. Sunlight is important for your vitamin D, and so this is something that is in the Journal of Anti-Cancer Research, and there is just some amazing results related to sunlight and how it helps to cancer, avoid cancer. Now, apples, I have to turn the page. I'm sorry, I have everything written down for me so I don't forget. But apples reduces the rate of aging, allergies, alopecia. There's a number of things in apples that are effective for colorectal cancer. Even if you put it in a smoothie, cut up an organic apple, put it in a smoothie. It's the best way to take it. It's liquefied, and you get all the nutrients if it's in a Vitamix, because you're getting the skin and the seeds and everything, and those have fiber in them and nutrients in them. So use the whole fruit. The more apples you consume, the less likely you are to develop colorectal cancer. It's very, very good and proven that way in research. And also, apples can help to ward off radiation and staphylococcal infections. So it's good for a number of different things. And so, and we all have heard about garlic for years. People wear it around their neck to avoid werewolves. In Los Angeles, there's a lot of those. People use it for their immune system, for colds, for flu. You can use garlic for many different things, and wow, is it good in soups and stews and whatever else you're making, vegetable beans and rice or whatever it is that you're doing. Put some garlic in there, put some turmeric in there, put some Indian herbs like cumin and coriander in there. Use herbs and spices in your food because they're healthy. And this is in Ayurvedic medicine. This is what they do. They use herbs and spices. And garlic is just one of those. So we have to really know that as we use food as medicine, we have to look at food that is not medicine. There's certain foods that are not medicine. That would be under the brands that I can't say, but they're chicken fried this or chicken fried that, or Kentucky fried this, or just all of the the Macs and the hamburgers and all of the fast foods. That is not. There's nothing about it that is healthy. There's just zero, because it's fried, because it's void of nutritional value, and it's fat, grease, and they oftentimes add sugar. Even French fries, they add sugar. So what do I suggest? Okay, well, if you want to eat something that tastes as good as French fries, that tastes as good as fried foods, right? You want to get a convection oven or one of these air fryers. You can see them on TV. They have various brands. I wouldn't recommend a specific brand, but there's a little basket in there that is non-aluminum, and you can cut up potatoes and stick them in there, and it'll fry them up without any oil. It's with air. And so that's the way to eat tasty, healthy food. You can do the same thing with zucchini. Should you want to feel like you're not giving up things, you can do it that way. I like zoodles, which is zucchini noodles. So you take a spiralizer and you spiralize the heck out of that zucchini, and you make this mountain of zoodles, and you put a nice dressing on it, and it's absolutely delicious. So we want to use food that way. You can do it also with yellow zucchini, green zucchini. You can do it with carrots, more difficult to do. It's a little bit harder, of course, to do, but the squashes are very good to do that with. And there is spaghetti squash, but I like the zoodles better than personally spaghetti squash, albeit spaghetti squash is pretty good. And then you can have almond flour pasta. Well, who ever heard of this? Okay. Almond flour pasta. This is a pasta that's made from almond flour. You can find it in a natural food supermarket, and it's made with only a few ingredients, and they have fettuccine to die for, and you need this wonderful dairy-free sauce that you can make to put on it and feel like you went out to the most expensive Italian restaurant. It doesn't taste like almond flour, it tastes like wheat, but it's almond flour. You can make almond flour cookies, cupcakes, breads and muffins and on and on and on. So, and cookies. And I've done all of those different things. So, I would suggest almond flour instead of grains, eating so much grains, because there's grains in, everything we do. It's grains in bread and grains. There's rice and there's pasta and there's quinoa, there's amaranth, there's millet. There's just so many different types of grains. If you are eating a grain, I like to buy sprouted grains, because then they're using the sprouted grain and there's no flour in it. It's just the sprouted grain. That seems to be the healthiest for many, many people who have an issue with their digestive system and with eating wheat or bread or some other type of naughty thing. So we want to know that eating gluten-free is the best way to do it. You can get gluten-free bread. It's made out of sometimes rice and tapioca. Sometimes lately they've been putting some almond flour in there. But I would do that instead of eating so many grains. You'll lose a lot of weight, okay? And it doesn't have a huge carb load. That's why you're losing weight, and your blood sugar isn't going to be as reactive as if you ate all those grains. So we have to just take a break and remind you that this is Natural Health Radio, and I'm Dr. Teresa Dale. We're on Facebook Live. Go to our website, wellnesscenter.net, and look around, read some of the articles and research, and see how you can help yourself and your family. And then check out the membership so that you can become even more educated and help others, help yourself, and look at the protocols. And if you want to get a vaccination opt-out form, you can do it there. And it took me over a year to just find the forms from different states' websites, which are buried, but they're all there. We wanted to also tell you that California, the forms for opt-out have changed. In California, you can go to a medical doctor now and get an opt-out for vaccines for religious purposes or allergy purposes, mostly for religious purposes. So you definitely want to check that out. So what we have to do is give you a little bit of information. I had a patient email me this week, a new person who just became a member, and she's 84 years old, and she's having dry mouth, and very, very dry mouth, and all the time, and there's nothing that she can do, she said, to relieve it. And I thought the first thing to do would be to make her aware of the causes of dry mouth. Why does someone get dry mouth? Well, there's many causes. Okay, and sometimes people have it on a regular basis. We're looking at a cause of dehydration, just not drinking enough water. And you want to drink about 2 liters of water a day, of clean, purified water. And then and we have to also look at people who are mouth breathers at night. If you do mouth breathing, that can cause dry mouth. Alcohol, nicotine both help to dry the mouth, and medications. The side effect of many medications are dry mouth. Check out your meds, okay, because that can cause the dry mouth. And then this is the most common cause is medications. See, when you take medication, then you're opting in to all of the side effects that are listed on the disclaimer form when you buy it, and some of them are fatal. You want to pay attention to that and not the infomercials on TV. You're on TV, you learn about this, they're talking about a drug, and they're telling you they're reading off the small print of how it's fatal and all of that, while you're watching a person who's smiling and happy and just having fun and eating good food, and while they're listing that it's fatal and you could die. So the subliminary message is to be watched and eliminated and muted. You want to mute those commercials, okay? Because then they start going around subliminally in your brain, and when you get sick, then you're going to remember the name of it and maybe go ask for it. So we need to protect you. Also, chemotherapy can cause dry mouth. Radiation treatment can cause dry mouth. Medical conditions like diabetes can cause dry mouth. So endocrine diseases such as diabetes, in all diabetic patients, you can get dry mouth. It's something to be considered as a cause. Okay, we're looking at causes. And then acute stress can cause dry mouth, and or a strong feeling of fear. They've narrowed it down to fear. Okay, fear can cause dry mouth. They've narrowed it down. Okay, so if you're constantly afraid of something or someone, come and see me. Take the neuroemotional remedy for fear. Okay, but know that can be the cause of dry mouth. All right. So emotions have a huge effect on causing all symptoms, including dry mouth. And then mouthwashes containing alcohol, which dry out your salivary glands and your mucous membranes, they cause dry mouth. So, but there are a lot of natural remedies that help dry mouth, and one of them is drinking more water, as I was saying, and using xylitol, which is a natural sweetener made from birch trees. You have to get the natural xylitol from birch trees. It's a naturally occurring sugar. You can use it in baked goods. You can use it in tea or whatever you want to use it in. It's low caloric, and it's even a person with diabetes can use xylitol. Okay, so this actually helps dry mouth, and besides eating it, you can just rinse your mouth with it, and it helps dry mouth. If you're using medication drugs, find a way to get off of them not by yourself. Find a health provider to help you wean off of them safely. And you do that by making sure that your body is doing a detoxification in order to get off of them. You want to do the whole body deep cleanse. You want to do the slow cleanse, not as the only thing, but possibly as a partial thing. You want to also look for the cause of your condition, including emotions. You know, I've got a great survey online. It's called the Neuroemotional Remedy Survey. It's free for you. You go to wellnesscenter.net. You go at the top, you look under free self-tests, and you'll see the Neuroemotional Remedy Survey. Print it out. Take the test, and we don't grade it for you. You get the answers right away, and you get to see how many emotions and what percentage of the time you feel that way immediately. You're answering the questions. It's your own self little test. It's an amazing thing, and it'll tell you exactly what to do. Okay, so we also need to, for dry mouth, we can do oil pulling like coconut oil, sesame seed oil. You put the oil in your mouth and you hold it there and you swish it around. Oil pulling pulls the toxins out of the teeth if you have infected teeth because of root canals or implants or just poor dental care. So I think de-stressing is a very important part of having getting rid of dry mouth, as well as getting rid of disease and cancer and everything else. So de-stress the body, use the neuroemotional remedies to help your body with your emotions. And if you are gung-ho and you decide that you want a roto-rooter for your emotions, in other words, you want to handle your emotions, all of them, and you need help, and you've tried therapy or whatever, or you didn't, or either or, but you want to know what's causing what in your body and what emotions and belief systems and identities are causing the illness. What you want to do is get the Meta Wellness Program, and you can read more about that on my website, We've had people from 12 years old to 85 years old do this successfully to handle their emotions related to their illness, and oftentimes serious emotional issues that were present because of severe traumatic events that caused PTSD. So we know that it works. It's up to you to get it. You get a workbook with it. You get homeopathic remedies with it. You get a studio recorded CD and instructional CD, and you get 5-element music therapy with it. So not only de-stressing, but taking another action step. That other action step is crucially important because that other action step puts you in charge. It takes the victim out of your life, that victim energy, and it puts an empowered person there. So you are stepping up the empowerment and you are doing something for yourself to help yourself. And you will see how powerful homeopathy can be. And it comes with a workbook that helps you to automatically, simply find the core belief and identity, and then a process to resolve the identity, to neutralize the identity, and then the remedy to drain it out of the body. It gives you all instructions. It's organized, and it's organized and effective to work. It's all of these tools have been tested with independent neurologists with 32 electrode EEG. So this is taken from that process. And we need to tell you that, you know, everyone has emotional stuff. You know, no matter who you are, no matter, even if your life is going great, you've probably spent some time working with your emotions, okay, or doing something, but you still have underlying emotional things that in the future, you know, can create challenges. We all have little challenges in life, whether it's our physical health, whether it's finances, whether it's relationships, whatever it may be. We all have these things, and wouldn't you like a toolkit to fix them and be on top of it? And when something comes up, you just take it right through the Meta Wellness program, right? So you can go there and check it out. It's wellnesscenter.net or drdaleswellnessstore.com. And, you know, that is the best thing for you. We're going to leave it at that. And don't forget, if you have some kind of a existing illness, we want the whole body deep cleanse, and the slow cleanse is very, very good, organic, non-toxic, and has the most powerful herbal ingredients formulated with some organic mushrooms, you know, whether it's Portia or reishi or cordyceps. We have powerful mushrooms that are shown specifically to heal the filtering organs. So I want to remind you, just thank you so much. This is Natural Health Radio and Facebook Live, and this is Dr. Teresa Dale with you, and much love, and we'll see you next week at 1 o'clock. Many blessings. Bye-bye for now.